I wanted to serve as something of a voice of reason in the LEGO community. Complaining about free stuff is dumb. Hello friends, welcome to Walter Limited. I'm James. Like a lot that's out there on the internet, opinions on YouTube range from, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, to, oh my gosh, I've literally never seen anything so dumb in my life. And I know, controversy and strong opinions sell. And we have no shortage of strong opinions in the adult fan of LEGO community. However, the conversation around gifts with purchase, or GWPs, is getting more and more toxic and frankly irrational. I'm not even going to touch the Star Wars ones because that fan base is rabid, and I figure there's no saving it. Fans of some other themes might still have a chance though. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for people having opinions, but at some point, words have meaning and personal responsibility has to be a thing. Over the last 6 months to a year in the online community, it's become more and more common to call gifts with purchase predatory and to blame the LEGO group for using FOMO against fans and collectors. And this topic was actually the thing that caused me to publish my first YouTube video. In today's video, I wanted to focus on one specific set to illustrate my point. There's a lot of love for castle-themed sets in the LEGO community. Thus, when something comes out, it has an already high bar to hit. Add on to that, if it's a remake, or if people even see it as a remake of something from the past, and the expectations get frankly unreasonable. That brings us to the set I wanted to talk to you about today. Set 40601, Majisto's Magical Workshop, which is a remake of the set under the same name, 6048, has 365 pieces versus 6048, the original, that had 185. And this set got a really harsh reception. Now, in fact, I was actually watching a live stream build of this set over on Bricking Up Brad's channel. Go ahead and check him out. He does a great job. But while I was there in the chat, I got basically roasted by the chat for having an opinion that wasn't even, I didn't even say the set was great. I didn't say the set was flawless. I just didn't hate it as much as the people in the chat did, and frankly, as much as Brad did at that point. So today, I want to do three things. A, I want to take a more nuanced look at this set in the context of the larger collection of gifts with purchase released in 2023. B, I want to propose some actionable solutions to the LEGO group and their designers. Listen, I know they're not paying attention to this and it's probably never ever going to reach them. And B2, sounds like a vitamin, I want to talk to LEGO fans. Might be a bunch of people who never hear this, who knows? But at least I'll get it off my chest and I'll feel better. C, I want to treat this collection of bricks like what it is. It's LEGO. We can modify stuff. We can change things we don't like into things we do like. So that's C today. So I'm not gonna lie, this got super nerdy. And I'm not going to go through this sheet with you line by line. That would probably make you cry. I mean, I dug into this for hours trying to figure out exactly how it is that LEGO breaks down where their price thresholds are going to be set at for gifts with purchase. And I think I've happened upon a pretty reasonable, I don't know if I could call it a formula, but I think I have a pretty good feel for how that's done. I think they take several things into consideration. How many parts does it have? Second of all, they consider the number of elements, the number of different kinds of pieces in a certain color. So for example, I have two 1x1 bricks with stud on side, one in black and one in reddish brown. LEGO considers them separate elements even though it's the same part. However, there's two of each of these pieces in the set. So that's two elements but four parts. If you have 300 unique things versus 300 of one thing, that costs different, right? They also consider how much plastic you're getting. And so I used the weight of the sets to try and help me determine how these things are valued. Then there's two other things that are pretty easy to track. One, the number of minifigures. Many GWPs have no minifigs at all. Of the ones that do have minifigs, usually they come with either 1 or 2. This last year, there was one set with 3 and one set with 4. Those are by far the exceptions to the rule. Another thing is how many unique prints a gift with purchase has. By unique prints, I mean a print that has never been used in a set before or a set that's released at the same time. And it seems like a pretty hard and fast rule that a gift with purchase is never going to get more than 2. And then finally, is this something that belongs to a specific IP or a specific line or something like that that is more aimed at collectors or adults, or that either the subject matter or the IP would serve to drive up the price, whether for licensing reasons or because it's just perceived to be of more value. And then the final thing related to that is the gift with purchase part of a series? How are the other sets in the series priced? And how many other sets are there in this series? So the criteria: amount of plastic, different kinds of elements, and number of parts. And then number of minifigures, number of unique prints, and does it have some other driver that causes it to be more expensive, whether that's IP or a series or some other line that pushes it to be more collectible. Gifts with purchase generally range from $40 to $250, the spend threshold. If it's paired with a set, it costs that much. The Mimic chest that came with the D&D set as its gift with purchase, I think would have been $100 or $130 spend if it had been totally independent. But when we start looking at these things objectively, Majisto rings a lot of the bells. Castle fans will immediately want to compare it to the Forest Hideout set that came out a couple years ago. The Forest Hideout had a $150 spend threshold, and it had 258 pieces. Compare that to Majisto's Magical Workshop with a $250 spend threshold and 365 pieces. Okay, why is the spend threshold 40% higher? Well, let's take a look at that. Majisto takes a hit because it has 2 figs. Well, Forest Hideout also had 2 figs. Majisto takes a hit because it has 2 unique prints. None of the prints in the Forest Hideout were unique. Majisto's Magical Workshop is at the very top edge of the amount of plastic of any gifts with purchase. The highest one last year was the Maze set with 503 grams as the set weight. Majisto came in at 498. Now for comparison, VIP packs ranged between 110 and 150 grams. So we're talking over 3 times as much plastic. Majisto's Magical Workshop came with 354 pieces and 97 elements. That puts it in the top of 2 out of the 3 of those and just above average for the number of elements. Then add to it that it's a remake. Yes, Forest Hideout was also a remake, and I think would have been cheaper if it hadn't been. When you look at that, if you have $40 to $50 as your baseline spend, and $250 as your cap unless you have a specific set that's more than that. If you're at the baseline, $40 to $50. Every time you add on one of those things, you're above average in one of those categories, or you have unique prints, or you have minifigures, each one of those things bumps you higher in the spend threshold. And so Majisto came in at the very top of these categories with 7. If you get to 7, it's always gonna be $250. The spend threshold is going to be that high because that's how much LEGO feels they have invested into the production of the set, and that's how much they need you to purchase in order to feel like it's worth it to them. Let's talk about that $250 spend to get it for a $30 nominal retail price set. 6048 over the last 6 months sold for an average of $75 used and $190 new. People are willing to pay for that set in the $200 price range. $250 to get other stuff, and then you also get this thrown in, doesn't start to sound that unreasonable. The original was $26 when it released. Adjusted for inflation, that's $55. So even if they put this set on shelves now today, you're not getting it for less than $50. Okay, now that we've beat the geeky, nerdy stuff to death, I know you're tired of hearing about it, you probably skipped over this part of the video. I want to talk a little bit more about the actionable things. First though, I want to talk about some things that it did do better than its original. Several things. The trees are way better. It's not just flat trees sticking out straight to the side. You got some actual curve in the branches. They look a lot more natural. It's way better. Second, they added dormer windows, and it's better. Third, the little balcony's nice. It adds an extra little bit of detail.
They also gave us a door.
Another great thing that LEGO has been doing more and more lately, they threw in hair for the knight. Next, they got back printing on the knight. That original knight, regardless of what you think about the printing of the front, one versus the other, the old one didn't have printing on the back. And then finally, it really replicates the look and size. It opens the same way, it has the same feel. As a kid that played, I built this one and it functions the same way. It's really very similar. Yeah, it is not a 2024 mock level set that'd cost you way more than $250 spend. Now, let's get to those complaints. And as I go through the complaints, I'm gonna address them each one by one and talk about what actionable steps there are to fix it. But I bought stuff I didn't want to get it. I know this might sound like tough medicine. It's the kind of things that I tell my teenage daughters about quite often. You gotta be smart with your money. You should never buy anything at full price from LEGO. If you're buying something at the LEGO store that doesn't have a gift with purchase or double points or both associated or is on sale on top of that, you're doing it wrong. So if you're going out and buying everything day one with no incentives to do so, you are throwing away money. Don't buy everything day one, and then when a gift with purchase comes around that you do actually want, you have something to buy. It literally cost you nothing but waiting a few weeks to get the thing that you wanted, plus something free. Also, you can just buy this stuff straight out. If you don't want to spend $250 on stuff you don't want to get what you do want, let me hit this here for you. Over the last 6 months, Majisto's Magical Workshop has sold on Bricklink as low as $10, and the average over the last 6 months is $35. Exercise a little patience. There's your actionable feedback on that point. Next complaint, the instruction book. The old instructions look way better than the new ones. This one, kind of boring. I agree with you. However, this one also has 111 steps and call-out boxes at the top of every page to tell you every single piece that you need for that step. The old one, 20 steps. No call-out boxes, no parts highlighted in a different color, nothing to indicate. It was like Where's Waldo for parts. And don't get me wrong, I loved that about LEGO, but I understand why they do it differently now. Because most people don't want that experience. They want to build what they got. Yeah, does this look more generic? Does this one look way better? Agreed. However, there's a reason they're doing it differently these days. Then there's a complaint about stickers. Well, there were no stickers in the original. Correct. There's also not a single unique print in the original. That scroll was used in dozens of sets over the next several years to include basically all of the Dragon Masters sets that came out at the same time. Yeah, Majisto was reused 5 times in that wave of sets. There was nothing unique about him. And that was for a wave of sets, not a gift with purchase that's a one-off. I get it. Super plain Majisto, not very exciting. But since this set was going to get at most 2 unique prints, do you want them to spend it on this torso that is like 70+% covered by beard? Or do you want them to spend a unique print on this torso that you can see the whole thing, and on the torso back that you're also able to see the entire figure? I mean, keep in mind, everybody says, no, they should have done this. Well, in a capitalist system working for a company that is for profit, if you're going to get something different, you have to give something up. On this one, I've got no actionable feedback for the LEGO group. I think they made the right choice. I would far rather have front and back print on this knight than have a little belt and coin bag on Majisto. It's just that simple. That's my preference. You might have a different one. But if I'm only getting 2 unique prints, I'm spending them on the Knight. By the way, that's also why the Knight didn't get leg printing. You could choose back printing or you could choose leg printing. And I'm pretty sure it's easier to do 2 prints on the same figure than it is to print on essentially what's going to be 3 different pieces with the legs. I mean, it's economics. The next one to me is another trade-off. There's no barrel. Yeah, that stinks. Could they have squeezed in the barrel? I'm gonna guess probably not. I'm gonna guess that that got cut. And they said, we have to get under whichever parameter it was, whether it was weight or number of pieces or whatever it was, cost of the pieces, I'm sure that factors in. And the barrel is just not a critical part for the set. The other one that's just a little wacky to me that I've heard so many people complain about is there's nothing to put in the treasure chest. Like, you're really gonna gripe about 4 1x1 studs? It would have been great if they'd included it. However, they did include a whole handful of extra parts that you can put in that treasure chest. There's an extra wand. That would go great in the treasure chest. There's a couple flower parts. Hey, it's a wizard. Maybe he needs plants for his potions. Put that in the chest. Hey, look, you've got extra feathers. Maybe another potion ingredient. Put that in the chest. I don't know what happened to us as adults that we lost any capability to imagine and say, hey, look, I've got parts. They can go in the treasure chest. But those are extra parts. I can't use them. That's starting to sound silly. The next complaint, that the roof is loose, I get that one. And I think there is an actionable solution that we could take, and I'll show you that right now. I switched 6 parts for 6 parts. I also switched 3 elements for 2 elements. The problem with this solution is there's a little bit of gymnastics. It makes it a little bit more complicated. And let's remember they're putting out these sets to be built by anyone, not just by crazy Lego enthusiasts. The next one, I think Lego really fumbled on. You do have the pieces right there in the set to make better halberds with these axe heads. So instead of using these 2, you get in the set already 2 spears. Great, we got 2 spears on the roof in the original. Saving an element, we get rid of the just bars, and we put in 2 more spears, and bada bing, bada boom, looks much more like a halberd. I think Lego fans are really justified on this one, especially when the piece was already in the set. Then there's no bird. I can't get real fussed about that one. Yes, do I wish there was a bird? Absolutely. They don't make gray birds right now. Knowing the Lego fan community, if it had come with a colorful bird, they would have gotten roasted just as hard as no bird at all. The other things that I've heard, you know, I understand the complaints, but I understand also the reason for some of them. We got this helmet, not the dragon helmet. They weren't going to spend $200,000 on a new injection mold for a one-off gift with purchase. And with what people are asking for, the halberds, dragon helmet, and the dragon plumes to go with it, I'm sorry, they're not making 3 molds, $600,000 worth of molds, in order to put those in a gift with purchase. It's not happening. Okay, that's the case. They're not going to make new molds. Got it. Why didn't they make the helmet black? Great question. That would be also a new element for this set. But they've used black grill helmets before. The last time that was available in a set was 2002. Lego would have to produce a different element than they're currently producing in order to do it. Yeah, do I wish this guy had gotten a shield? Absolutely, 100%. Why did we get a shield in the Forestman set? Because those shields were also going to be used in another set, so they didn't hit the same strictures. Does worry me a little bit that we didn't get a shield here, because that means there's likely not a shield in another set that's coming, which is sad to me. They're not producing the piece and printing it for a gift with purchase. Now, some people have complained about the blue on the torso. The blue on the torso does make it not as good for customization. If it didn't have those little blue stripes down the sides, it would be better for customization. Here's some feedback for you. Lego, don't put the blue on next time. It doesn't look as good. We'd rather have that little bit less of detail and the ability to switch out the arms so we can make the one black arm, one blue arm. On the other hand, just treat it like his arming doublet. Especially there in like the armpit region, that would be one of the places that would be most likely to see an arming doublet underneath the armor. Not ideal, but if we use our imagination, we can at least come up with story for it. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that they use too many of the big, dumb parts. Dragon Masters as a whole relied on these kind of large parts. The whole series did. Go back and take a look. And so these parts really capture the essence. They fit the style of what we had back then. And as a kid who grew up with it, frankly, I don't mind them. I bet if these had been released in the opposite order and we'd gotten Majisto first and then the Forestman, the reception for Majisto would have been totally different. So what it comes down to, I think, is the fan community has overblown expectations and then disappointment. Being hooked on the rumor culture that is going on right now, where everybody has to get all the newest leaks and find out about everything and listen to all the rumors, it's stealing some of the joy from LEGO collecting. So if you don't want to be disappointed, wait until the official announcement. Don't go searching for those leaks. It might make your LEGO collecting more enjoyable. Also, calling people lazy for complying with the rules of their job, it's dumb. By all means, express your displeasure to LEGO. Tell LEGO, hey, I really like these things. You should bring them back. Better yet, voice your opinion with your wallet. Also, when people look at this and say they'd rather have the original one, tells me that nostalgia goggles are real. This set is every bit as good as the first one. Now that we've looked at a few things that LEGO could do, I built my own improvements on it, and I want to show that off to you. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and like and subscribe to see more. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.